Dutchie. It's Tuesday, y'all, and I've been taking on sewing. Um, Happy Tuesday. I hope the week has started out great so far. Chugging through the week, positive vibes for everyone, positive healing, all the good things. It's going to be a good day. Hang out with me, vibe with me. Please like and subscribe. Be a good human, always. And let's get this party started. I definitely want to do some bobbing. I've really picked up the sewing stuff, and I broke my needle, my first needle yesterday. What a nightmare. I was really getting into it. I felt like I was like learning some skills. And of course the needle broke and I didn't have a backup needle, so I had to order some, so I have to wait. But I did find a pack that would come today instead of like the end of the week. I was like, I'm not gonna sew all week. Who am I? Anyways, I definitely want to stock up. Bobbins are like what go underneath the stitch to hold everything together, I'm learning. So I want to stock up on these guys because I did order some of those. And I have some thread, but the thread is like thicker, so it doesn't really hang out well on top of the sewing machine while I'm making things. So I'm making like smaller backup stuff. I've kind of finessed the system where these bobbins go on top and the machine will thread it itself, and that's like whatever, that's easier. But it doesn't like spool like bigger or smaller ones compared to this. It only does these little bobbins, which you have to have both, I'm learning. Anyone that's a professional sewer, do not judge me. I am just embracing this skill that I feel like will be fun. It'll be like rewarding, soul rewarding, which I think is so important in this life. We don't really get enough of that, so I want to pour into that. I've made a couple little things. I was trying to do like a pillow, and the pillow is I definitely learned a lot yesterday doing the pillow, but it actually started coming out really well, and then the needle broke and I was like, oh my gosh, like thanks. But I think the universe was like, all right, take a moment, stock up, because I realized I was going through my bobbins pretty fast. I didn't think I was like gonna go through a lot of thread like that, but I've been like trying new things, because you have to remember when you're trying new stuff and you're being like open to a new skill that you may suck at it, you may be really good right off the bat, or you may be okay, and I think that can be discouraging sometimes, where you're like, oh, I suck, like maybe I should stop doing this. But I've hand sewn stuff for a while. I'm not a professional by far. But machines were kind of like, can I do this? Like, is that like a whole nother thing? Because anyone that knows me knows that I have endless crafts around. But don't get discouraged when you're not phenomenal at something like in the beginning, because as you learn skill, you do get better. There's so many different attachments that come to like sewing, or really any new skill, where you're like, oh, I have to buy this now, or I have to buy this now, or I have to buy this now. So it can be discouraging sometimes too, because you're like, I need all these things. It's not just like wham bam done. But I did luck out with getting a really good machine at a really good price, that I won't be upset if I'm not a phenomenal sewer by the end of this. I'm gonna say that you should pour into your soul and tell yourself that you can do anything that you set your mind to, because there's that tap on the shoulder sometimes on both sides, but we should be leaning towards the good tap that is telling you that you shouldn't do this, that you're not going to be good at it. And I think that is nonsense, and we all do it as humans. I won't listen to the ones that are like, I am always great, because we're not. But it's good to like see growth and appreciate that, like, because you're not going to maybe be phenomenal at something overnight. And I've been sewing now for, I'd say like a week and a half, maybe. Yeah, like almost 2 weeks this week. And I've already seen progression, and I'm like, wow, okay, I got to remember that, I could probably go really far with this. So I'm having all these crazy ideas of like projects and what I want to do next. But it's not as easy as it looks. It's not rocket science, but like doing like a straight line, for instance, like if you have a good hand, you can like just run it through, but fabric moves. And if you've never sewed before, you don't know what I'm talking about, because you do just think in your mind like it just runs through. No, it does not. You need to guide it. But I think I have like a pretty good hand, so I'm seeing this go well. And I am a fisherwoman, so playing with the thread is kind of reminding me of like fishing line a little bit, or braid. So I don't know. I think it's going to go well. Throw some projects at me maybe. I'm just kidding. I'm not ready for like super big projects. But I've made like little things, and I think the little things have taught me skills on top of that. But to remind myself as well that there's so many things. Like there's the verbiage is different of speaking about sewing, like the seam allowance. There's so many like different things that I've had to learn in this last week and a half. So like first few days are like, okay, I'm like staring at the machine like, can I do this, No, I was making stuff as soon as I got it, like the next day. I was trying to make stuff, but it's really learning how the machine operates as well, which I need to name her, maybe him, I don't know. I need to name my machine. Magical, though. It did come with a tarot card inside. And if you know me, I'm into my spiritual stuff. So the tarot card was very signed and sealed magical. I definitely was like, okay, like the universe, because I've been getting a little nudge to do some sewing stuff. A lot of the ladies in my family, from what I know of them, like they're crafty women, so like it kind of just runs in the blood. But going back full circle, don't get discouraged if you're not phenomenal at something. You can learn along the way and get better, and to be easy on yourself, because we're our like biggest critics sometimes, like. And we shouldn't be. We should be like such a motivation for ourselves, because if we're not going to motivate ourselves or like tell ourselves that we can be good at XYZ, you may rely on others to do it, but I wouldn't do that either. We should definitely rely on ourselves, our inner light. And when that happens, like, everything else comes around. Like, watch to see who claps when you win. I feel like that's very important in this life. But also, clap for yourself, because that's important. Alright, so I'll go ahead and undo that. So this is a bobbin. Now, phenomenal sewers out there, do not judge me. So this is the bobbin. You put the thread. I'm still learning because my brain's a little backwards sometimes. Like, why I have to flip it? I must be doing something wrong, and I can't really tell the difference because they're both the same size. Okay, so you put the little thread in there, in the hole, yay, and then you pull that out, and you go around. I go around. I'm learning, like, I have my own little thing. Others may already do that, and I haven't seen it. I go around and just wrap some thread. Because if I do it wrong on the machine and I start it, it's just going to unravel that. So it's like, work smarter, not harder, Then you put it in here. Let's turn it on too. You put it in there and you guide it through. This stinger is pretty cool because it tells you, like, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then usually you would put it through the needle that I broke yesterday. You put that in there, and then that would be the needle part, and it has a self-needler, but I actually am like, I'm pretty good at like just putting the needle through the thread, so I don't really use the like tool that it gives you, which is cool because in like the 40s they didn't have like a self threader for you, so you're like trying to thread a needle. By the way, I was using a little child's sewing machine that I had. Oh wow, that could have discouraged anyone. I thought I was stupid. Something was wrong. I think now that I'm learning on this machine, big girl machine, is that like it didn't have it's complicated. If you don't know sewing, you're like, what are you even talking about? And I'm not saying I know it either, because I was like, what is what and who is who? Like, but there has to be 2 threads coming through. This is the bobbin thread from underneath, which is what I'm about to do up here. This is the bobbin thread, and it stitches the bottom part, so it holds it together. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, and then the thread from the top, which is usually here, you thread it through the needle. That's that top layer stitch. So they work together essentially. But I don't think the little one had bobbin thread in it. I don't even know if it has a bobber. I would assume all sewing machines do, but they may not. But that thing almost discouraged me to like definitely not do sewing. Like in putting the thread through that needle, a whole nightmare. This one is like child's play. I'm like, oh, I learned so much from trying to play around with the other one. Anyways, so you put it through there. There's a little loop on this side, number 1. You put that there, and then you put this here through the top. It like kind of guides it. And then there's like a pedal, if you don't know sewing. There's a pedal. So I try not to be lead foot like I'm driving a sports car. You also have to click this over here because it needs to know that you're bobbing and you're not actually like creating something with the needle. So I have to hold this because it doesn't fit in here because it's too big. So I'm like holding it and finessing it. It's kind of like literally like it reminds me of like lining a fishing rod or stringing a fishing rod. Okay, so that's how I know that's wrong. So any sewers out there, let me know. I don't understand like why it needs to be flipped every time. Maybe it's just my brain is just not. See, I unthreaded it. There has to be a difference. But they look exactly the same, so I don't know. And then I put it back right here. Okay, that's the wrong way again. And you have to keep flipping that back and forth to get the bobbin out. There was a lot of learning curves to this. I was like, oh man. And you watch like some videos, of course. And some people just make more sense to you, like personally, and some people don't. Like, no judgment to the ones that don't. But there's so many different skills that people use. So watching videos is like encouraging, but sometimes it's like way easier for the person that's been doing this for like XYZ amount of time than when you go and do it and you're like, alright, let's try to flip this. Alright, usually once again you would not have to hold this like I am, but I'm trying to like finesse the system. Okay. There's a little plastic piece over here that stops it when it's full, or like it slows it down. I try not to get too crazy on the pedal, but I don't blow up the machine, but I can't imagine if people go super duper fast. I tested it a little bit, like on like getting better, like how fast I can go with like, especially like straight lines. Anyways. Hey! Oh. Hold on. Let me finish this one. It's almost done. I was just blabbing away. I was like, let me just like do story time if anyone cares or wants to chat. I'll check back in. See, look how it slows it down. So I don't really like to push it. I just wrap it around a little bit more. Cut the string. And ta-da! Now this, once again, is the bobbin for anyone that doesn't know. So that comes off. It goes inside here. I didn't put it back down yesterday. So it actually goes, I'll show. So it goes inside here. We'll actually take this out because this is almost gone anyways. So it goes inside that. and the needle will go down and pick up that thread. It's like the coolest thing to watch, because I don't know how anyone can do that without that. Like, you would be like having to perform some stuff. But that needle will pull the other, the bobbin string up, and then that's one little tail, and then you literally will go with the other thread, like through the needle, and then there'll be another, we'll leave it, another little tail. So you have to have the two tails going, and you want to pull them like further out, because if you don't, like, you'll lose the thread and have to rethread the needle. But anyways, you would put this inside here. And then you have to like bring it over, like through that, and then through the little C. And then I don't really know. I think you're supposed to put it through the next one. Oh. Like here. Because I noticed that it actually pulls it through. Oh. They're like finicky, so they drop, which is no fun. But it pulls it through, and that way it holds that bobbin in, and you're not having to rebob like every 5 seconds, because that's annoying too. They should have been teaching this in school. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, I don't know why we weren't taught, because now everything I look at is like, it has been sewn. It's crazy. Let me check. How are you, Tommy Pickles? I appreciate that. A pedal for your grinder? Oh, you're gone. Okay, I'll ask next time. Pedal for your grinder. I can see how that could go from like 0 to 100 real quick. With the sewing machine, the pedal can go 0 to 100 real quick. If it didn't have like this foot, oh man, you would easily create a mess. The little kids one had like a little guard and stuff. I do not recommend that for beginners. Like, I remember having something very similar to that kid's sewing machine as a kid, and I hated it. So I honestly never cared for like a sewing machine because of that experience, which is sad. Because as we go on in life, like, things are different as a kid. And going back to like not being discouraged if you're not great at something in the beginning, that you can get better. And then you put that back in there. Normally when there's a needle to be continued, I'll have some later, don't know what time, but usually the needle would go down, pull that thread up, which is really cool. And then you would need to take the thread and work it through the numbers, and then go back through the needle. Sometimes. I can put that back. Alright, so another theme. I anticipate using like white and black more on these bobbins than anything else. But I want to have some backup like colors. Because what if I do? Because you kind of want them to match. But I am different, and I always do things that aren't like the normal way. Like making that pillow yesterday. But I think I may like mix things sometimes. Like, I love this color so much. Like, this color is like the prettiest color. It's hard to kind of see it, but it's like a sky blue and like a white. I can see that going well. But I'm crazy and would love these two together. So I can see it mixing it up, because remember, the bobbin is like the bottom stitch that you're creating through the machine. There's 2 stitches, but the bobbin like holds everything together with that bottom stitch. Yellow would be cool. with like, that seems extreme. But these two would be cool together. So I really want to work with these bigger ones that I have because I need to make them smaller so I can use that on the machine. I need to put them on here. But I'm going to fill this whole bag. I'm like stopping for a second to debate if I'm going to do any more bobbins different colors. I guess with the bottom part, you wouldn't really see the bobbin color. It would be the top. So I don't think I'm going to mess with the other threads. I'm really just going to stay with these and finish that up. I've done 4, 5, 6 pink. Probably got like 20. This one is like almost done. I learned yesterday though that I could tie this thread. This bobbin is almost empty. I could tie this thread onto this. And then go ahead and spool some more on there. It's so tiny. Or not. So many things happened yesterday using the sewing machine though. It was like great, nothing wants me to make this pillow, you know, series of events, but I was learning things as I was going, so I have to be like optimistic. I mean, I feel like we all need to be like optimistic when sometimes things aren't going exactly how we had prepared. Is there something we need to stop and learn from so it doesn't become more like annoying? Is there a new skill involved? Because I definitely felt yesterday that I was learning a lot of skills and it was getting frustrating because it was making me have to stop. And then once again, I finally like felt like I cracked the code of like making this pillow because I did do a complicated route of making the pillow, which is a lesson for me. But I still didn't want to give up on the pillow. But right towards the end, I started like, oh, I see this coming together, great. And then the needle broke. I was like, I went through all of that universe. What up? It's a new it's a new attachment to my life. But I like essentially thrifted it. So it looks new though, right? It's amazing. I'm super stoked about it. I want to maybe put some vinyl here. I don't know. But then part of me is like, just leave it alone. You just always do too much. But I'm like, I have so many stickers. I could just load this thing up. I don't want to do stickers though. I think I do want to do like vinyl. But I do have some cool stickers that I could consider. How's it going? I would want something crafty here, or like an encouragement, like quote. Like, hey, you don't suck. Keep doing it. I was like trying to make like smaller stuff, like maybe dollhouse stuff. because I think I'm like formulating a full circle with my dollhouse stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but I can see things aligning, and but of course I try to take on projects that were just like way out of like my beginner stage. I was like, I'm gonna do a pillow. There's so many different pillow like videos out there. I don't know if you heard, but it had a tarot card in the box. Hold on, I'll come back. I don't want to take my eyes off this because every time that happens, it gets finicky. I like finesse the system. It is kind of silly. You have to like to spool like little threads like this. It's like a whole nother machine, but they give you a bobbin attachment that you could do it yourself. But the bobbin doesn't hold. Okay, like that's done. The bobbin doesn't hold these on there. Like it doesn't work that way. So you have to like make an attachment. So I kind of like rigged the system a little bit and spooled my own stuff with a system that I came up with. I wouldn't say I came up with. I actually saw it. There was like no videos for this, which was really interesting. Should make a video. There was like no videos, but this lady, shout out to her, I don't remember her name, but super shout out, used like tacky glue, and she like stuck it on the bobbin that goes on the machine that will work with the machine, what I just made, and then you stick it on. Now it's not something that you're gonna do like with that same tacky glue 1,000 times, and you do have to keep an eye on it because you don't want to go mess with the machine. But I spooled my own things. It was great. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm like stocking up as if I'm making like comforters and quilts for like everyone. It was a different tarot deck. I remember the picture, but it's not. They get a little crazy with the names nowadays, like the stands outside of like the pinnacles and stuff. It has a name and probably in the person's book, but it doesn't have a name on the card. It's interesting. So, I don't have that deck. But I was like, oh, I was like, the universe is definitely approving this message. There was a lot of symbolic stuff in there, so. And clearly the person, it was a guy, apparently, clearly they play with tarot cards. And I don't know if they're missing, they're obviously missing a card from their deck now, but I don't know if they're like missing it. 1, 3, 6, 9, 10. Right? It's not like a typical tarot, and I've used tarot for years. So although my tarot cards aren't typical either, but they act as like, they have like the same similar names. I love my tarot cards. They're like sacred to me. They're like so valuable to me. But I don't use tarot as much as I used to. Like, I'm not against it, but I believe in other forms of like signs and communications and stuff like that I don't lean on it like I used to. I used to do tarot like multiple times a day. But I also have like oracle cards. But there's so many different like ones. It's crazy. Hold on, get some water. I said this before, but the new Alexa update, oh my gosh, attitude. Yeah, I know it sounds like, I mean, maybe not to you, but it may sound like crazy to someone else, but I definitely was looking, I was gonna make like a bigger purchase of like a sewing embroidery machine, but I was having a lot of anxiety because life happens and they're really expensive, and like I was just like, should I invest all in this? Because sometimes I do a lot of projects and I am all over the place, so I didn't want to overdo it, and then I didn't want to have to like buy tons of stuff because I was just researching a lot, and like the research was giving me anxiety. But I was like, you know what? I tried to do the little kid sewing machine. It was a nightmare and it was very discouraging, and I ended up seeing this, and it was literally, you would never guess how much it was. Like, you just never would guess. But I really lucked out, and I felt like that was another sign. So the tarot card was like even more of like a confirmation that I am on the right path for that. Like, I have a lot of ideas. I think we all do, but like as a crafter, sometimes it's hard, especially trying to like make money off of like what I do want to come up with, like to be lucrative. Like, it can be a little bit of pressure, like I have to make this work or else, and nobody wants to feel like that with art because then you don't want to do it. So definitely want this to work out in like a new skill too. And I feel myself like doing really well as a beginner, not to be like cocky or toot my own horn. So I really want to keep riding that wave and not discourage myself. So the tarot card felt like cool. Like, it was like, thank you, universe. You know what? Like, I'll start with a sewing machine. I really couldn't beat the deal at all, and I felt like that was a confirmation. Sewing is like one of the steps, and embroidery is like, does the machine part does it itself, so you're learning like on a design space, so to speak, on what you get. And there's so many different like, I don't know, options out there, of course. So you don't want to make the wrong purchase, and you don't want to buy something really expensive and it's not what you thought, or it's worse, or you have to like buy additional all these attachments, because that's how I felt with the Cricut. You know, Cricut and I, it's like back and forth. I definitely poured a lot into like wanting to like do these vinyl machines and stuff, and it's not cut out like it's made to be. It's not the worst product ever. I still use my machine from time to time for what I have, though. Like, I should have like been using it more. But it tears up a lot of stuff. It cuts up a lot of things. You lose a lot of money with it. Time press, like there's so many different stuff. And every machine requires different things. So it becomes like a whole, like, okay, what do you want to pour into? Anyways. Thanks! It definitely was a score. I was like, oh. I was like, okay, universe. Let's make it happen. I'm not saying that I'll be a famous seamstress out there, but let's see what I can do. If anything, I learn another skill under my belt and go from there. But I see it ties together with everything. Like, everything now is a stitch to me. My brain is stitchified. It's can't even say it. I was gonna say insane and then crazy, so it became ingrained. It's crazy though. Everything's a stitch. I'm looking at everything, like even my little plush animals in there. I'm like, you're a stitch. Like, I was making little pillows, and I was like, how do they do the final stitch? I was like, there's no way that it can't be seen, like, on the outside with the pillow. Like, you can go almost all the borders of a pillow, but, like, that last corner, you can't, like, do it from the inside where you can't see the stitches. Because most things, the stitches are on the inside. There's some, like, things out there that stitches around the outside too, but like most things, like t-shirts, like pillows, like the stitches are on the inside, so you don't see all the line work to that. But at the end of a pillow, I saw something on Reddit that it changed it even more for me. It was like a couple days into the sewing stuff, and I saw something on Reddit, and it was like, go grab your pillow or favorite pillow or something, like, or any pillow that doesn't have a zipper, and look very closely, and you'll see the line work on the outside. So with pillows, like, or towards the end, I don't know everything yet. And I don't even know if I'll know everything once I learn, but you have to, like, you have that stitch on the outside that you do a hand stitch, so it has to be seen. Well, I have an angel pillow in my living room, and I flipped it, and you can see that they did the stitch on the outside. You can still use the machine for the stitch on the outside, but I don't know if it makes sense. Like, you have to flip almost everything that you create inside out, depending on the fabric, and most of the fabric is like you do them face to face. So like, say you have zigzag on this side and then plain on the other side, because it's the back of the fabric, and then another piece that's the same size. You have to sew two pieces together almost always to create whatever you're creating. And I was gonna show one of my pieces, but I'm still like not the greatest, so I'm like, I don't even know what it was. I was trying to make like an alien or something, and it ended up being like a frog. But I was using really poor like fabric because I didn't want to like use good fabric that I have, which is a whole nother story now. But I didn't want to use good fabric and then destroy it, and then I want to make something cool later. Stitches are everywhere. Yeah, I don't... It's interesting. Like, everything's a stitch. And I'm like, oh, wow. It's all about the creation of it, though. You definitely... It's changed the perspective for me. So I'm like, wow, I can make so much stuff. I don't know. I'm just trying to, like, not discourage myself. But it would be cool to make, like, it would be cool to make, like, little, like, creatures or something. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts of, like, what are you gonna make? But I need to learn the main basic first, which I have, like, the last, like, week and a half I've been trying to learn, like, the basics. But now I'm trying to get crazy with it, you know? And then I don't know if you heard me, but I broke my needle yesterday making a pillow. I finally was getting somewhere after I sewed the pillow together. I sewed the wrong piece together. I stitched it wrong. The needle, it was probably because the needle was breaking, but it kept breaking off on me yesterday. And I haven't experienced that in the last week like that. So with the needle breaking, I do think that's why I was getting tired. But I finally felt like I was getting somewhere yesterday, and then the needle broke. Like, I literally was learning how to, like, stitch the inside, because you have to flip it once again, so you have to, like, leave an opening to flip these things inside out. So you really have still one stitch on the back side. Like, there's no way to get around it. And my mind thinks so, like, intently sometimes that, like, when I was making the pillow, I was thinking so hard, trying to not be in 2026 where you use videos to watch things and trying to, like, self-learn and making it harder for myself. But I was like, all right, I couldn't find a couple of videos for what I was trying to do, and then I realized with the pillow stuff, there was no way to get around that last stitch being a hand stitch. You can do, like, invisible stitching and ladder stitching that hides the outside of that stitch. But I don't know why. My mind was like, literally, oh, you need to learn. You need to learn how to do that stitch. Like, invisible, like with like the machine or something, I know it makes no sense, but I was definitely making it more complicated. And I was like, okay, look, this is not rocket science. And then things started clicking like the first few days in. Like the first couple of days was like learning a lot. I was still learning for sure. There's no way I'm not, but it was not nowhere near as discouraging as the kids' sewing machine. I think I've showed the sewing machine on my live before, like the kids one. Oh, hold on, I'll show you what I was trying to learn on. What a nightmare. I still almost want to go back though and yeah, sorry. I still want to go back though and see if it was because of the bobbin. Oh my god. No, they would think I'm obsessed with them. I stumbled on this show, no coincidence. I watch like HBO Max a lot because it's like no ads, and I prefer that. Like, who doesn't? But it's like no ads, and there was a new show called The Neighbors. Have you ever seen it? I'm kind of like pissed off. It would come on every Friday, and they only had like 6 episodes. Last week I was like, yeah, but watch it, and no, it was like only like 6 episodes. It may have been like 7, I don't remember, but it wasn't that many at all. And I was like, what the heck? And the last one, I won't ruin it if you do watch it. What the F? Wild stuff. But they painted a picture for me on how neighbors treat each other. Like, these people could be on that show 100%. And there was a thing on the last episode that I watched. Oh, if you're dealing with this with your neighbors or XYZ, like, give us a call or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I would, like, die to do that. I would, like, love to do that. But, like, at the same time, absolutely not. I don't want any more, like, they're enough. They're obsessed as it is. So, absolutely not. They'll have their perspective. Because they'll have, like, I think it's just neighbors. Maybe not but I think it's just neighbors. But basically, every episode is about 2 neighbors, maybe another additional set. I think it was just like 2 neighbors per episode that are beefing with each other, and then they'll go and they'll tell their stories from like each side of like their perspective of like what the beef is. It's interesting. I don't want to ruin it if you are going to watch it, but you should check it out. And there's like 6 episodes or something, and they're like 20, 30 minutes long or something. There's a dude that was a government person on there, and he was so upset that the chick built a wall around her house, and she was like calling it agriculture or something, architect. I don't remember what she said, but I was like, this fool. And he was a Republican. I forget his name. But when I saw pictures of him younger, I was like, wow, you aged. And I could remember who he was. So funny. Yeah, they were like beefing, but there was one guy, he's crazy. Like, there was 2 dudes beefing with each other, and like I said, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that wants to watch it, or you want to watch it, Fraggle. But they were beefing or whatever, and the guy they're both crazy. But one of them, like, had some value, like, had some points about the other one, just, like, straight up just, like, stalking, and he didn't want to, like, you know, leave his house and stuff. It was extreme. It put in different perspectives for me, because it's gotten really bad in this neighborhood, like, really bad. And it put in different perspectives of me, for me, like of how to not only deal with these people, but also not get all worked up like some of these other people get. Because imagine you're living next to these people or close by. I mean, the one chick, she was like visiting me a zillion times a day. It was so obsessive until it was like nipped in the bud, you know? Otherwise she would still be doing it. And it was so obsessive. Like it was bad. But there's so many, I've like said it perfectly before, is there's different tiers of crazy here. Like you get, and I'm a weirdo, okay? Like, and I'm not talking about like a weirdo, like people view weirdo in so many different definitions, but I definitely have always vibed with the misfits. I've said that all the time. I feel like a misfit, like that's how I am. So I don't judge people off of like what they look like, lack of XYZ, what they're wearing. Like there's so much more to a core than that. But energy doesn't lie. So you definitely pick up on when people are like not just like misunderstood, like they're just effed in the head. They've been kicked around and dropped on the head a zillion times as a child, adult. I don't know. Yeah, if you're interested in watching it, it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. I was upset there wasn't any more. The last episode threw me, though. I was like, oh my gosh, there were things that I was not trying to see. So brace yourself. That's why they saved it for last. So it was like, yeah, that's why. Right there. He doesn't want to play. Please. What's been going on? Can you believe that? What is it? Tomorrow's April 1st? Wild. Like our birthdays are creeping around again. Insane. Yeah, there's different tiers. So I don't I hate the word weirdo, but like I also like I don't want to be like everyone else either. Like I feel like that's pretty boring if we're all just like cut out the same way. But there's definitely different tiers of like insanity. For sure. You want to talk about going to school and changing your career? You have some people that you can examine here. They probably need a psych evaluation. For sure. I told the cops, I'm like, I asked, I was like, do you guys like view people's like background, track record, any of that before you leave it, before you like go to someone's house, so to speak? And they were like, well, if we have time, we will do that, which I feel like would be no brainer to do. Like, come on. But in general, they're like, if we have time, we'll do that. And of course they can see like a track record of like everything, more than we probably can even imagine. But I'm like, you guys should like be viewing that before you try to like come over here like I was She-Hulk before, to see like the level of crazy you're dealing with, because you've dealt with different situations by these whack jobs over here. Oh, nope. And I'm like, and then you see my record. I'm like, There's no. Crazy. Yeah, you're like, Dutchie will start with you. Yeah, time is flying. I'm like, pump the brakes, yo. You better live it up. Your 30s are, there's a new chapter that approaches. Not to make that into, ooh, the universe is like, slow your roll. Not to make that even more in the back of your brain. You have any plans? Just keep switching it up, you know? Yeah, there was literally SWAT here, not here, but in the neighborhood, just like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. There's always something, definitely some crazy different layers of whack jobs. I'm like, you can live over there and do what you do, you know? Just don't come to my house uninvited. A lot of the neighbors were talking trash about me, and it foiled on them in conversations that they were trying to have with me outside. I'm like, doing XYZ, and there's always an approach from one of them, and I'm like, I don't want to. Like, you guys are, like, talking shit about me. Like, why do you think I want to, like, talk to you? The other day, one of them, like, ran up, and I was leaf blowing out front. Like, ran up after there was an exchange, like, with their dog outside that morning, but it was in the evening or the afternoon or something. Ran up and walked the different way, and it's funny because it's like the cul-de-sac, so they choose to walk one side. They like got like butt hurt that I wasn't like gonna take their crap because they're older, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So like they started walking the other side of like the circle to like be like, oh, I'm not even gonna look at you, but meanwhile they always want to wave, and I'm like, I don't care, like, do what you want. Well, I was leaf blowing last week and they walked the other side of the circle. That's why I mentioned that. They walked the side in front of my house trying to catch up with me, and I like beelined it. I had sunglasses on. I like beelined it back to the front door, and I was done leaf blowing literally anyways. So I was like, you know what? Absolutely not. I'm not gonna like have like these exchanges where you're just judging me and the whole conversation. Like, I just will go on YouTube, you know? Like, I don't need that like at all, and not even YouTube in general. Like, I don't need to know that you're just prying into my life to go tell the other ones so you guys feel like you know me instead of like getting to know me, if that makes sense. It is all mental. Stay young. Take care of your body. Treat your body well. Age is just a number. Sounds cliche and cheesy, but it's true. You know, when I worked at Starbucks back in the day, there were a lot of older folks that would come in and some of them just look so great for their age, you know? You just never know. It's all about how you take care of yourself, the stresses and the woes that you have, and taking care of your mental and physical health. I think when you settle for like I'm just old and washed up and all of that, then you're gonna definitely feel that way. Like, for sure. You know, I make jokes about the age stuff, but I'm not getting any younger either, you know? I'm getting wiser. So I definitely leave it. I definitely what can you do? You just ride the ride and enjoy the time and gather more life experiences. You know, my best friend's mom always says that she's 36 every year. And I remember one year I said 38 and she was like, you messed it up. Like, you cannot say 38. I think I told this story before. I'm getting like deja vu. But she's like 36 every year and she's like, you know, I've started to believe like that she's 36. Like, she looks great. Like, and obviously we're all getting wiser, you know. I mean, some people will always look the same to you, and then one day you're like, wow, we're all like old. But it is how you take care of yourself, for sure. And I'm not talking about all the surgeries and all this stuff that obviously people do to make themselves look younger. It's killing me for all the young women out there that are really doing all these plastic surgeries and like crazy face stuff primarily too. At a young age, like that's how you get addicted to that stuff, and I don't know how you can never like stop. Yeah, you started to run. I like to go run with the dogs. Are you doing the stairs, the rocky stairs? You can just do that a zillion times. I'll do a live view on YouTube and we'll watch you run up the stairs. Are you like going out and about running or like on a treadmill? I don't really like treadmills like that. I had an elliptical in the back for a while, which was nice though because there's nature going on out there, so it doesn't get like super boring besides like staring at a wall or staying like stationary. I like to go out and about. Oh. Need a bobbin? Got you. Yeah, how often do you pass the stairs? Yeah, once, you know, getting wiser, your bones ache a little bit more, so stay on top of that, you know? Keep the body young. You need to, like, be chanting, like, motivational things to yourself. I'm not getting older. I'm getting stronger. Sometimes those work for me, like the motivational speeches, and then sometimes I'm just like, why are you like yelling? I get it, like you get into it. Even me, I get like my voice like projects. Especially like crazy story time or whatever you project. But I think I'm more likely to listen more or longer at like a steady motivational like grasp of words. I don't know. Sorry, like my brain was like, what is happening? What are you doing? Oh, so you go by them every time you run. So you live close there then. Do you look up how many miles you run or you just run them? Yeah, you gotta switch up the routes, you know. And you may never know what you'll see. I mean, you never know what you'll see on your journey, you know. Even when I take the dogs out in the morning, and try to get a longer walk in. I never know what I'm gonna see. All kinds of different stuff of nature and humans. I'm really looking forward to the nature part, you know. Just listening to life happening. Oh, I actually, I was looking up fabric, or I was looking around like the house of fabric that I was willing to cut up, especially sewing the first couple of days. Because I do have fabric, but I'm being like frugal with it until I get better, because some of the fabric I don't know if I'll ever find again. But I was looking around the house and seeing if I could cut things up and use that as fabric. And I found my old Slipknot shirt. And I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna like repurpose the Slipknot shirt. But I was like, I'm gonna wait until I get better, because I'll be so upset. I've had that Slipknot shirt for like, I don't even know. Oh my god, like almost 20 years? Crazy. Really? Wow. Yeah, almost 20 years. Like next month. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. When you look back and you're like, wow, all the years, they're just blown on by. Joe! What up? Is there distance? I don't know how to read those. I'm awful. Oh, like the highway? You haven't memorized at this point? Okay, cool guy. The stairs are like a starter for you. We're talking about him going on runs, Joe. How have you been, Joe? I seen this mug out thrifting, and it was like a lady's face and then just a bunch of cats like all around it. Like, I should have grabbed a picture. I was like, that's Joe. I'm like, were your ears burning? Because I literally thought of you. It was this past weekend. What up? I like to say that to my bird, too. I'm trying to teach him to say what up. He knows how to say what, so I just need him to say the up. He gets so buck. He loves British rap. Loves it. He loves most rap in general, but British rap, he gets buck. Super buck. How are you? How are the kitties? Jump on the magic misfit bus. What are you doing, puppy? Oops. Yeah, he loves to dance. He gets upset if I don't dance with him. That's like my no, and I'm not doing the dance. But in general, it can be any dance. He likes when you dance with him. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna look like a fool alone. And he'll stop. And then he gets like buck when you like do it. Like, I feel like he would be a great rapper. The girl that she has like an African gray that does like metal vocals with her. She's like a metal or screamo singer or something. I feel like that my guy could definitely be like maybe a rapper. Like, feature us. Still farting a lot. I mean, then he's doing his job, you know? That's hilarious. Still blowing you out of the house. Is it like warmer weather there now? Or is it still cold? Well, it's good to see you both in here. My peeps. You know what is it? The Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I try to teach my bird that, and he likes to go back and forth like as if he's doing it. It's pretty funny. Yeah, you're like, would you like literally go find your litter box? Okay, thanks. Yeah, no one likes to dance alone. I mean, you gotta do it sometimes, but he definitely is like, you know the part of this. Like, I don't dance unless you dance. And he just wants me to get it started, you know? So I'm like, all right, let's do this. Snow? Hailstone? Is that like hail but with stone? Or is that what hail is called? I can't believe you had snow. That's insane. Well, it will be summer before long, and then we know it gets so hot then, in general. So it's like we appreciate the last of it. I hope it warms up for you, though. Building snowmans in like almost April. And hopefully Toby doesn't blow you out. The pups fart sometimes and they're just like, they're so bad. So bad. Blow you out of that room, the house. Yeah, that is wild. Oh yeah, everyone has to dance alone sometimes. So it's okay. But I mean, it doesn't have to be like sad. I feel like dancing, it's like a I don't know if it's like a proven thing, but like dancing changes the like vibration. How can you be like mad, sad, XYZ if you're dancing? Even my bird's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He definitely loves to dance. I actually, when I got him, that's how he. Hold on a second. Got my eyes. Yeah, my bird, sorry, it's like getting water and stuff. My bird literally caught my eyes by like acting silly. And I remember I was going to get like a boba tea from this place, and I stopped by the pet store first, and I was just like getting stuff for like my little birds at the time. And he caught my eye, and he was just so funny and silly. And I went to the boba place, and I just couldn't stop thinking about him. Like, I was like, I have to get him. Like, anyways, he's so funny. He's even more goofier. His vocabulary has so many words. Like, he amazes me, like, constantly. I had, like, the cousin of him, because he's a green cheek conure. And I had a son conure growing up for 14 years. And, very, very similar, but my son Conyer never talked, would mimic things like sounds and stuff, which he mimics a lot of sounds too, like my green cheek. But my green cheek says so many words. It's like I know he's magical. Hey, what up, Rhodey? Happy Tuesday. We're just dancing in here. We're dancing together, all of us, you know, so no one feels like they're dancing alone, okay? Join the party. Someone send in the party hats. Actually, don't, because that's like trauma. Don't send in the party hats. But party! Oh, I forgot you guys changed it after us. That may take me a couple years to remember that. Yeah, you guys do change it after us. Ah! This is the party hats. I wish you could send like more emojis. Bobble hats. Who's still wearing bobbleheads? Dang, there was a word, Joe. Oh my gosh, I thought of you like a week ago too, because there's some girl said a British insult, and she was a Brit, and I was like, that's so good. I have to tell Joe. Oh, I'm gonna remember it at the craziest time, and I'm gonna say it out loud. It's gonna be great. I wonder if I'll be like in a random location with people where they're like, what the heck? What is it? I can't remember it. I was like, that's a good insult. Dang. To be continued. To be continued. It reminded me of when we went down the insult lane from the Brits. Fraggle, pull out your notebook. Do you remember any of the insults that you've learned? You pleb? You learned any insults? I'm like, just kidding. We'll be nice to Fraggle. Does anyone else remember why the party hats are trauma? I know Davey does. Maybe Joe. March and October. Yeah, ours is March and November. You misplaced it. Oh my gosh. Insanity. Insanity. I can't believe it. Let me guess. You didn't misplace your nerds though. I wouldn't say party hats are trauma, but back in the day, or when I first started living, I was definitely still learning how to block or hide people or like time out them, etc. And I accidentally, Davey was in here, and I think it was just the one other person. There wasn't many people in here at all, but they said something. The other person said something. And I don't know if I was just trying to time them out, or I don't remember the details of that. Maybe Davey does, but I just remember I accidentally hid them, but I didn't know that I hid them because the chat was still going, and I just pissed through that, and I didn't know that I hid them. And I was like, really? Like, you're being that dramatic? Like, you're not going to say anything? Like, something along the lines of that to the other person. I'm like, I know you're here. Like, why aren't you saying anything? And I was like, I think it was like Davey or me. I don't remember. Maybe he remembers similar but different pieces than I do. It was like, one of us said, like, send party hats if you're out there. And he, like, sent a bunch of party hats. And I was like, wait, did something happen? And I had hit him. He, like, made a video about it, like, so upset. Then he was, like, essentially blocked and couldn't say anything at all. Because when you're hidden, you're hidden. But do you remember the Fraggle? You remember the party hats? Those are the good old days. I mean, he was a little shit sometimes, but when are we all not? So, I hope the best for him. I think it's been, wow, maybe almost a year. So probably we'll hear from him soon. I'm sure. Definitely hope for the best for the people. I remember my core people starting my channel and chit-chatting and stuff, and I've like fallen off, and I've come back. So I definitely will always remember my core people for sure. I appreciate y'all as always. That was almost a year ago, and I remember that because it was around our birthdays, all of our birthdays. So I was like, wow, it was almost a year ago. I mean, I can assume what happened there, so I'm going to assume that it probably, I don't know, the ears will be burning soon, you know? Maybe not, who knows? But I do hope all is well for everyone. I don't, even if, like, I have mixed feelings about some of the things, how they happened. Definitely several things. But in general, I don't have time to, like, harbor hate and shit. So I'm like, it is what it is. Like, I just always hope the best for people. And I understand why sometimes people are the way that they are, and I just don't put them in that box, because people do have room for improvement, and this is just an example of life. Everyone has room for improvement, and sometimes people make mistakes, but there also are people that are repetitive with their mistakes that becomes intentional, and then you just are like doing what you're doing to be an a-hole, you know? And that's something I'm just not going to tolerate. Absolutely not. But I do give people the benefit of the doubt. And even if I don't tolerate, like, XYZ, I mean, pray for what? Your enemies? I wouldn't say, in the what I was talking about, I wouldn't say he was an enemy by far, but in general, you should pray for, like, everyone, for peace for everyone, because the world gets better if we're all just, like, healing ourselves, you know? If we're not, which the world, sadly, a lot of the people are not healing themselves in any form of fashion, and that's because of the life that's been, like, cut out for us here in this society too. It definitely, it pays for all around. Like, sometimes, you know, like, there's been times in life where we're all, like, what, intentionally mean to someone that shouldn't have been being, like, treated that way, and then what, you feel bad because maybe you're having a bad day or whatever. And some people hold on to that intently and find no room for forgiveness, which can become, like, a sense of, like, resentment, bitterness. Yeah. I talked to him last week. I made guac on live. As his ears burning, maybe he will be summoned in here. I hope everyone's doing well, you know. Life throws us curveballs, and they throw all kinds of curveballs in this game that we're playing called life. And I hope good health, good wealth, good energy, like. And I say wealth in, like, a broad statement, like, wealth can be defined as many things. But I definitely hope that for everyone, especially my peeps. We've learned the core people, and you know who you are, you two definitely included. Rodi's been here for a while too, but I think that, like, you know, we've come a long way. We've seen some stuff, had some chats, you know. I try to be, like, as lighthearted as possible around this joint, you know. We've shed some tears in here, but I do like to spread the positivity and good vibes, or have, like, genuine conversations. Maybe every day is a good day, but there's good in every day, you know. So it's all how you, like, present it. Or how you take it. And life is throwing curveballs once again on all of us at different forms. So, and I've said this so many times, I think it's like, it is important to have, like, a good buddy system, you know? We don't all have the answers and stuff, but maybe someone's been through what we've been through, and they can talk to us about it or make us think about it differently than what our mind allows us to think. Because we all have experiences to share. Like, maybe we have, like, really funny stories, or your jokes, or you have lessons to share. Like, we're all on this little messenger journey as well, like, more than I think we know, to share these experiences with others, and naturally just doing it without, like, going on the hunt to share experiences, you know. Because I could definitely say that, like, when I walk away from, like, my lives and stuff, especially, like, one-on-one lives, not really as much, like, walking around the kitchen, but, my one-on-one lives, like, I've learned so much. There's times it's just silly and that's fine, and then there's times that's serious and there's learnings to be had. Because I'm definitely not perfect by far either. Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad that, like, you and him are at a good spot where you can be, like, okay with one another, you know? That's important too. That takes, like, two strong people to do XYZ. Because I think there's value in, like, friendship there past XYZ, without, like, airing everything out. But I hope for the best for him too, you know? I was upset with him as well, like, with different reasons. But, you know, I know that sometimes people make mistakes. We all do. We can't be, like, so, like, that is it, you know? But also, like, don't be, like, fool me once, fool me twice nonsense, you know? That just leads to different things. But sometimes we're in people's lives to teach them things or to learn from them. And I feel like sometimes that's, like, all the time. And I'm not constantly like, why did I meet this person? But at the same time, I do view life like that a little bit, because I think that everyone has those experiences or values to bring to the table. And I believe there are no coincidences, and people are brought into our life for XYZ reasons. Sometimes everyone for the same reason, you know? And sometimes completely different reasons. You know what I mean? Are you keeping up what I'm saying? Do you know what I know? Oh, that it was about to be a show. Whoa. You get what I'm saying? Are you guys, like, are you done? Yeah, there is no point. And I mean, we're humans, so, like, there's times where maybe we feel sour about, like, XYZ. And we just need a moment to rethink it. We need a moment to realign, like, our thoughts, our energy. And things don't always have to be dealt with right then and there. And I think as humans, sometimes, with many different examples, we feel like we may need to heal or fix something, like, right then and there, or it's just not going to get better. And at the same time, like, that doesn't always work either, because we need to digest what is happening, so we come to terms with how we actually feel. Because I know personally there's been many times where I'm like, you know, in the moment you feel way different, and then maybe a day or two pass and it's like, it's not as, like, heavy feeling. Or sometimes it is, and you know that you need to deal with it. But trying to digest your feelings too, because I think it is important to understand, like, what makes us tick as humans and what we're willing to allow or not allow to happen. But to also, like, become one with yourself, like, be best friends with yourself, because that's how we, like, move forward in life and healing the world too. Because imagine if we were all healed creatures, and we are not, sadly. But imagine if we are all actively working on healing something from our past or our trauma or our energy. There's so many different layers to that. If we're actively, like, sorry, a little heavy on the gas down here. I'm, like, sitting there pedaling away. Once again, if we were, like, imagining, like, all of us healing just a couple things that have really messed with us this life, you know, we've carried around for XYZ amount of time, because we all do. We focus on healing those things. That gets healed, and this weight is uplifting instead of us carrying this around for years to come, you know? I think coming from like a broken family, there was a lot of weight for that for me for years. And the last several years, I really dived deep into like healing what I consider like open wounds that like are still needing to heal. I had like a reading done one time and they had mentioned like it will take XYZ amount of time for me to get through feeling the way that I do. And that's what life experiences, understanding those feelings, guiding myself through those feelings, whatever. And I was like, oh gosh, years. Like, what do you mean years? Like, I don't have like years to like heal for that. um, but that's how life works too. So if we don't take the time to start healing things that have already been in our life for years, like subconsciously or consciously, we're adding more years to that stress we've already carried around for a long time, you know? And everyone deals with things differently. Some people are always just dealing with life and like they're psychologists and they just know. And I feel like a lot of psychologists like even don't digest themselves as much or diagnose themselves as much, but maybe they do. I have no idea. But if we're not willing to like see those parts of us that need that active healing, I think we do take away from each other as a whole in the world because all of us are walking around like injured birds almost. Like, it's pretty sad. Not everyone is miserable. That's not what I'm saying. So I hope for my peeps that probably already get what I'm saying. You know, in general, I'm just like aware on my journey too, that me actively being aware of like this trauma, so to speak, that I carried around personally, being aware of that and unpacking it and finding ways to drive through that, because as life throws more experiences and stuff, like we're also maybe not going through extra trauma, hopefully not, but sometimes there's moments where you're going through sadness as well, and that becomes stacked on top of already buried shit. So if we find a way to unpack the stuff that should never have been packed away like a memory box, then it gets easier when life throws us other stuff to navigate through. That was just like, I felt like the divine was like pushing through to say all that, but somehow that makes sense to me. You're like, how many bobbins are you gonna make? I bought a pack of 50, so I'm like in there. I'm definitely doing more black and white because those are primarily my colors. And I have these colors and this doesn't fit on top of the sewing machine, so I want to make smaller rounds. I do want to get different colors, but I don't want to break these open and put them in a bobbin if I'm not using those often until I buy more bobbins. Anyways. Right, and like those experiences, Joe, I feel like, you know, those are reminders too that we have been through worse at times, you know, and I hate that, like saying that, so I'm stumbling on my words a little bit because it's like, it shouldn't be a reminder like I've been through worse, like suck it up, because sometimes things in the moment suck. And it should be a good push to get through it, but not to like erase that like we don't deserve XYZ at times, you know? Because I don't think that's fair. I think that we lose like in a situation that you were in too, like we almost like lose our voice like that. Or I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, but like speaking from like my heart in the divine, like I feel like, you know, you almost lose your voice in a situation like that where you can't speak up and you feel like everything you say is like not accepted or heard or appreciated, so you become silent. And then you're like shutting yourself off to the world to please like a POS, you know? And then that's trash too, because you get out of something like that, you have to entirely relearn yourself. You know, I've always said this to like myself, but even like my friends and stuff, close family members, XYZ, of like, when you're in a relationship, like a romantic relationship, you have to continue learning yourself, you know? When I was younger, I was always like, for the most part, in like committed relationships. So I lost years of my life, like being committed in a relationship. And I say relationships are bad, of course. But being committed in a relationship and not like entirely knowing yourself and this individual is maybe different than you, like, and opposites attract sometimes, but also like you could be taking away from yourself when you're not entirely with the best person in the world, or someone may be great and you're just still not learning like your soul worth here, you know, because we are all individuals. And I feel like in relationships sometimes, like romantic ones, even friendships too though, so I'm just gonna put that there, people just, they become one with each other, and that's fine. But life is so crazy, so to depend on one person for like how you breathe and move and do things, like, is almost like dangerous too. And that, I say that in a broad statement because it's like, I don't want to get like touchy. There's like different like ways to say this, I guess. But it is important. I'll say it's important to like really have soul worth, because when you're in a relationship with yourself, and not in like a conceited way, but like in a relationship with yourself, I feel like when you become in a relationship, maybe romantically, or become closer friends with someone or whatever, you feel comfortable in your own skin that no matter, even if you don't agree with XYZ, that's not going to take you away from what you feel is still your soul purpose. Because I've seen it in my life, and I definitely, as I've gotten wiser, I'm just not going to tolerate that. Like, people view things differently and XYZ, but I still want to know, no matter what happens in life, like, I won't fall apart because I didn't learn myself, you know, or know what you will take and what you won't take in life. Like, it's kind of what I was saying earlier. I guess that's full circling there. Like in all forms of relationships, of like, really when you're comfortable in your own thoughts and feelings and stuff, then we don't get silenced off by other people's opinions. Went a whole thing there. Let me catch up. I agree, Joe. Like, yeah, we go through things, like, I think for like the next stage of life of learning where we get better at it. I always say this, but lessons repeat until learn. And there's been so many times in my life, like, I feel like I've cracked the code of life a little bit, that like lessons repeat until learn. So, and it could be good lessons, bad lessons, okay lessons. And I've seen them formulate with like different people or different experiences, but it still has that same core lesson. And we can get better at it, or we can get worse, you know? And I think when we're actually consciously and subconsciously aware of that, it does like kind of stitch things together, to make more sense, you know? Let me keep catching up, because I start to do this and then I get lost forever. You get what I'm putting down? Fraggle, you don't say that about a woman's age. She's 50 in brilliance. Was it filthy 50? I don't. What is the one for 50? It's probably lame though. So we need a new one. You still have time in this chapter of life though. So, you know, when I come to the close of like, especially being like wiser, I guess, when I'm coming to the close of like chapters, like I know the end of my 20s, I was like, what did I learn? And you know, being in my 30s now, I'm like, I want to go back to my 20s. I've enjoyed some times. I definitely enjoyed like raving and like partying more. But I don't think I'll go back to that. Like, I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about relationships. Like, the value of friendships, romantic relationships, life, like, close-knit relationships, acquaintances. I learned a lot. That my 30s, I'm like, I ain't putting up with none of that. Yeah, your guardian angels are like this. Mine too. They're like, oh, shut your mouth. wouldn't say alone. Maybe that's where you are in this chapter of life, but you weren't always. Like, you're still healing from what you went through. Kind of like back to what I was saying earlier. I know I said a lot, so maybe things come in like here or there when I'm just going at it, but it takes the amount of time you poured into XYZ, and it may not have been the best experience, and you come out of that like you're like feeling alone, so to speak. Now it's gonna take those amount of years to heal from what you just went through, you know? I don't want to say like 20 years is 70 years old for you, you know? I don't want to say that, and then that's when you start feeling alive. Hopefully, you know, when we start going up the ladder a little bit more, you feel more alive because the experiences that we've lived, you know? Because there is no rewind button. I've never seen Benjamin Button, but I know the theory of that. There's no, like, we're just going to stay at this age, you know? But I would like to say, like, you do get wiser along the way if you're willing to learn. If people aren't willing to learn, then yeah, life is just like whatever. To me, I try to make life like feeling like a video game. Like, where do I get out of this? So where do I go from here? What level is it on? Like, am I leveling up or am I staying stagnant, you know? Absolutely, Fraggle. 40, 50. Toby's like, I'm there. He's like, I'll bring a gas mask. Oh my god, you meant the 50 bobbins. I feel so bad. I was like, Fraggle, that is so rude. I was about to give you a timeout. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, set for years, you'd be surprised. I actually went through 5 pretty fast last week, and I was shocked. I was like, okay, maybe I should go ahead and stock these up. Be prepared. That's so funny. I forgot about the bobbins. That's hilarious. I think a lot of people do that about the relationship stuff. Like, I was trying to make it, like, not vague saying that, but, like, when I was thinking about what I was saying, I thought about a lot of different equations, like friendships, like romantic relationships, like people, you know, like, and I think even like regular friendships, if you remove like romantic relationships, even regular friendships, sometimes people lean so hard on what their friend is going to say, and that's how it goes, and that's what they're doing, and there's no voice there. Now, everyone's character is different. Some people need guidance. Some people aren't like alphas or take control of XYZ situation. And I don't mean control in like a controlling way, but maybe you have a friend that always makes the plans. Or you have a friend that always is like designated what everyone's going to do or sets things up or whatever. Or then you have 2 friends that always do that. Are they going to, like, bump heads because of that? Or are they going to grow together, you know? There's so many different, like, equations to that. But I think there are a lot of people that lose themselves. Like, I wonder how, like, the people... Like, I wasn't, like, no one knew me in school. But I don't want to be like, I was most popular. I was, like, just existing, you know? But I definitely, I wonder how the people that were, like, super duper popular in school, how they've maybe gone off in life. And this is an example. Like, maybe how have you gone off in life? Did you get to a job that you're so popular there because you needed that craving and that feeling of, like, attention all the time? Or, like, everyone knew who you were? And some of the people that everyone knew who you were weren't like that, but a lot of people kind of were. I don't know if I'm, like, losing myself saying this. But, I wonder if they continued life like that, or was that just, like, a lesson for them that, like, they are people pleaser, people, or maybe they've become, like, loners now. Maybe they learned a lot of those experiences, and didn't want to go back to, like, having all these open doors with all these different energies. I don't know if any of that makes sense either. Just throwing it out. Yeah, you thought so too, Joe? I was like, what? I was like, you can't say that to a woman. You can never say that. Frank was like, no, 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 beat me, don't beat me. I meant with the bobbins. That's hilarious. I was like, you can't say that. That's hilarious. That should be like an inside joke now. Bobbin 50. You don't get a bob at 50, Joe. In the principal's office? Is that what you mean? I'm like, how old were you, Joe? She's like, I was 16. Were you like a class clown? Yeah, their best times. Maybe that was their best times. Because, I think about that, too. I don't know if that did make sense when I was saying that, but I've run into a couple of those people from time to time, and they just are different. So I wonder if they're all like that, But this is just like maybe a run-in, or having like a 5-minute conversation. So you're not entirely like dissecting someone at that point in time. I don't think we should be dissecting anyone, but really getting a gauge of like how people have grown to be. Because some people will be like, well, people change, and then there's the other types that are like, why did you change? You got older and you changed. But some people get better. Oh. And then some people never change, though. Oops. There's been plenty of experiences. When I used to go to this place I've talked about before, like it was like a bar, pub type place, there would be people that come in like that I went to like school with, and then there were like people you've never met before. It was like a mix of like everyone. So it plays like examples in my head of like how some people genuinely can change, and some people never change and get worse. Like, I grew up really straight edge, and, when I wasn't extremely straight edge, because I was getting older and just, like, curious about life, we all are, and, I got so much judgment from, like, little groups of people, like, especially when you're, like, coming out of high school, maybe you still keep in touch with some people, and then Facebook was really starting to be, like, a popular thing at that point. So, like, people were still kind of keeping in touch. What was my point to that? Who'd be like, oh, you changed, like, you were so XYZ. And I think people, not even just, like, me, but, like, people gave so much pushback for, like, people changing. And then you think about maybe even your yearbooks where people wrote in there, never change, hags, but you're going to change. It's like inevitable not to change. It's just up to you what way you want to go, I still have like my 7th grade yearbook, I think it is. You were the teacher? What, not of the class? You're talking about like either you're learning the lesson or teaching the lesson? I'm like, teacher or preacher? Yeah, I'm absolutely picturing Joe do that. And like, a salute with one finger, You bloody plebes! close to finishing the bottom, so it's exciting. Yeah, I remember that. I'm not going crazy, y'all. Yeah, it was like, how old are you? I'm like, would you do something? Would. I'm like, not much has changed. I remember, I wasn't in the principal's office like a bunch. But as I got older, there was one side of town that I grew up in, and it was pretty rough. Oh, snap. It was pretty rough. Like, kids were, like, fighting really at a young age. Like, physically fighting. And, I really wasn't in the principal's office much. I do remember there was this one girl, she was nuts. Like, she just, like, wanted to, like, fight me non-stop. Like, usually you fight someone and you just, like, you're done, you know? And at that point, I had never been in a physical fight. Like, me and my cousin got into it a couple times, but nothing, like, crazy. And, I remember the girl literally, like, punched the principal, like, trying to get to me. It was wild. She punched the principal to try to get to me. And I remember, like, after the fight, I wouldn't even, like, call it a fight then. Like, she was crazy. That was just, like, the start of the madness with this one. But I remember I went to the principal's, like, office, and the principal lived in their office. I'll never forget that. I was like, what the heck? It had all their clothes in there, a little blow-up mattress and stuff. I was like, how is this even happening? Sorry, random. I was a pretty good kid. Oh. And then I got older and became, like, more, like, not thug life, but especially in, like, my gothic days, I became, like, a little bit more, like, okay, look, like, if you're super nice to people, they think you're weak. And it's sad, because I didn't always grow up, like, super jaded. I was, like, the sweetest little kid. And I'm still a very sweet person, like, but it did jade me, like, more layers of life. Like, people try to take advantage of your kindness, for sure. Hold on. Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes on the journey of life, you're like, is this what's happening? Like, if you're not aware that's what's happening, then, like, it could get out of control, you know? I remember you saying that, Joe. Like, that's crazy. And then you're, like, still such a young kid at that age to learn, like, responsibilities. I moved out at 16, and I moved out of my foster mom's home at 16. And you just, like, you aren't really sure you're ready for the world, but you're just, like, diving in anyways. And when you're a kid, like, you want, like, money, you know, because it's, like, you're a kid, and times start to change, like, in the days that we were younger, I guess, that, like, money was still, like, had a value, like, and if you don't have money, you don't have really much, right? Which is sad to say that. But you get thrown into that thrust of life, and, like, it doesn't stop. You become, like, on the hamster wheel, you know? And then you don't have time to, learn yourself and dissect yourself and do the right things all the time, or the right experiences, or pour into the soul-filling stuff because you have to pay the bills, or you have to take care of someone in need, or things that take away from, like, learning from ourselves. But then we have those other life experiences we were talking about, like, where the change happens, and maybe that's the point of, like, us learning these experiences, to not give us badges, so to speak, but little Girl Scout badges letting us know that we've accomplished that in life, and that we can handle something similar again if it were to be thrown at us. Oh. Crazy, that's how the cookie crumbles, you know? But it seems like, you know, when we're talking about it, like, oh, blase, blase, you know, like, life is life, and you just change, and you just learn, and you just get wiser and older, and all these things. But then when life is lifing, you know, maybe you're not thinking those things. Like, you're just like, what the F, you know, what is happening here? Like, or maybe it, like, wrecks you and then rebuilds you, you know? I've definitely said it before, but when I speak, like, out loud in my lives and stuff, which I guess I always do, not always, but when I speak out loud in my lives, like, I'm not saying these things to be like, I know it all. I'm just saying from my experiences that made me into, like, pretty much who I am. I wish that there were more people telling me that my experiences or my feelings were valid. I can't tell you how many times I was told, that's life and that's just what it is. Like, you'll be fine. You're just young. You're just this. You're just that. You know, that always, like, downplayed the experiences instead of, like, valuing the experiences. Yeah, she lived in her office. I'll never forget that. And she got punched in the face by that little rat. That girl's nuts, though. I could never forget her. I wish I could, but $1 an hour. Oh my gosh. At least they gave back the bus fare, but dang, like, that ain't nothing, you know? You sit there and, like, work, and your kid, and what, they're like, anyone older than you is always like, you're young, you know, you get out there and work, and meanwhile, you should be learning, like, different things to life when it's more supposed to be calmer, you know, as a teenager, so to speak. I mean, hormones is crazy as a teenager, but more of these calmer experiences should be happening at that time. So when you get to life and the real world, it's not as like, whoosh. I think growing up younger and doing adult things, you know, and I'm not talking about like drugs, I'm talking about like, you know, life experience, like paying bills or taking care of someone, taking care of family, like paying like rent, XYZ. Having those experiences definitely, it was a little bit harder for me seeing like some of my like friends be like at home with their parents taking care of them, and I didn't have that choice like at all, you know. And that was a little hard to get through that, because even when I had like roommates and they would bail and not pay their bills, and I would be stuck with all these things, and I would have no option because I couldn't run back to mommy and daddy by far. It was like, why is this so tough? Like, why can't I, like, I didn't want a cookie cutter life, or I didn't want, like, you know, to be spoon fed by my parents or being super rich. Like, everyone wants some money, right? So we don't have to, like, work until we die. But the reality is like, that's a lot of pressure too. We lose, like, soul purpose all the time to these things that are like mandatory. I think it does teach you a lot of valuable things going through that at a young age, or like having more of a responsibility. But kind of tying back to what I said like earlier, I don't know if I would do wait. Not healing from those things too, and then you're thrusted back into life and having to like cut out life the way you want it to be, and maybe you don't know how, or you're still like a kid at heart, or there's so many different experiences that obviously make us who we are. But I think that we all need to tap into like our inner child more, because I know personally my inner child needed a lot of healing. Like, I don't even think my inner child had a childhood like that. Like, I do remember snippets of my childhood, but there were a lot of things that it was like I was thrusted into responsibility at even younger age than 16. And same like what you were saying, Joe, too, of like being forced to having no option to be like the breadwinner. And that's so wrong, because then what you're supposed to like go to school and learn things. But you should be going to school and learning. I mean, they should be teaching better things sometimes, but like you shouldn't be like thrust right into adulthood and parents are like, tough love, tough cookies, like just do what you're told, and then you become an adult that's like bitter or jaded or broken or hurt, and then thrusting into adulthood, still being that human, because we don't, like, our soul doesn't just like die off from being an adult. Like, we're still like have our inner child. I think a lot of my crafting feeling comes from me needing to heal my inner child. I wish that like I had a parental figure that would have like, I don't know, like inspired me more to tap into the things that make me feel good, not just because I'm good at something. But even like with my parents, they wanted me to live their dream life that they could have did themselves, but since they didn't, they push it onto a child. And not just my parents, I feel like a lot of parents do that. Or parents become like, I'm the parent, you're the kid, you do what I say. And it's like, is that why you had kids? Because that's not, I mean, that's not a fair way to bring up kids either. And then you have a bunch of broken kids that become broken adults, and then that's what we have in the universe. That's why the world's effed up. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then the friends are more free and just doing whatever they want, and then you're like not envious of that. But I do feel like it kind of feels like that, you know? And you don't want to admit that, but you do feel like, wow, why do you have it so easy? But those people have different life experiences. Maybe they get a little bit older and the parents finally cut them off and they just like drown and like don't know what the heck to do. Parents enable their whole entire life. They'll never know who they are because they are literally just like latched on to their parents, you know? Because I have some people in my life like that are still latched on to their parents. And I'm like, what? But there's different latching, you know? Like, there's different reasons of that. But I understand things differently. Coming from a broken family of both parents not being there is like, I do not have that, like, sense of, like, I don't know. I don't even know how to word it. Like, I don't want to sound, like, rude, but I don't have that sense of, like, attachment to my parents like that. Like, which is sad to say. But that's the life that I grew up in. So I got to feel like I chose my family more in this life. Not the way I would have wanted things to be. But even as I got older as an adult and I did have my family, my blood family experiences in a different viewing than a child, I don't want that as an adult. I wish them well, hope they're great and all, but I'm okay with my chosen family. That's where it's at. I don't think it's fair for any kid to full circle and all that. I don't think it's fair that kids take on adult issues. Like, you shouldn't. Like, we shouldn't be enabling children where when it's time for them to fly a little bit, they just, like, will not and just, you know, don't know what to do because we've enabled so hard, you know. But I'm also not a parent. I have no clue. I've just seen from different angles, like us all. Absolutely. Yeah, and I have no doubt in my mind that you don't that you do encourage her to do those things, you know? Cuz the biggest like hurdle is ourselves almost. Like hold on. Two. All right, I have quite a few of those. You will do. No, I have 4 left. I don't know if I should do like maybe 2 more pinks or just like 2 more blacks, 2 more whites. I'm gonna do 2 more blacks, 2 more whites. Yeah, and I have no doubt in my mind that you definitely do that for your daughter for sure. And I don't know what it's like to be a parent, but coming from the background that I have, like, and not to say mine's different or better than anyone else by far, and I have no idea what it's like to be a parent. But I would want my kid to be better than me, you know? Of course, no kid or no parent wants to get their butt kicked at XYZ, but human wise, like, you know, and even at like stuff like crafty stuff, it'd be so cool if my kid's the next little Picasso, because I've just taken on so many little random crafts that I don't even finish, or I have so many different like tools in my toolbox because this is what makes me happy, you know. Or if they want nothing to do with crafts, whatever, then I can be someone that just helps them out and does things for them when they need it, you know. I definitely think that you should always want, like, your kid to view things in a lighter way, feel things in a lighter way, and not let life jade you. Because when you're younger, you have this freer approach about things, you know? I would like to say, I don't know, as I've gotten wiser, I feel like maybe my approach is more freer now. Even in my 20s, I definitely was free as a bird. But at the same time, there were a lot of things I feel like were considerably chains that held me back from stuff. Because I had to learn other life experiences first, XYZ. But I think that life jades you. Sorry, I was like fixing that. Life jades you along the way. So sometimes you get like a little bent out of shape. You're like, what is my purpose? What do I do? I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, you know? And you look around, most people don't. People are just settled because it pays the bills, or they've settled for life because this is what they feel like was cut out for them. But on my like spiritual journey, I know that when we just put in a little bit of effort towards XYZ, especially to our dreams, because our dreams can be reality. If you put a little effort in, it comes back in tenfolds, like more than we can even imagine. But most of the time it's like taking the first steps. And we don't always want to do that because maybe we're scared of failing. Everyone feels that way. Or we're scared that we won't have the support system that we're looking for, even though we're our biggest cheerleader to ourselves. It is, dang it. It is so important to like never let our dreams like fade away. I've heard so many times in life where like people wait until like their XYZ age to do what they wanted to do so many years ago, but couldn't because of work, time, life, didn't want to really, didn't believe in themselves. And meanwhile, it is very cliche and silly to say every day's a new day, but it really is. I definitely have experienced myself where I've spent time self-doubting and thinking that I couldn't do XYZ. Or maybe not that you couldn't do XYZ, maybe you don't want to do XYZ, and then you get it done faster than it took you to tell yourself not to do it, you know? You have to be our biggest cheerleader. And it is important when we have people that are willing to cheerlead for us, because those are valuable people. Those are people that are hard to find. I'm not talking about like silent haters that are like just doubting you along the way and like pretending that they're not. Like people that are like actively like telling you what your bad tap on the shoulder is trying to like not tell you, you know? Get that delivery, girl! She's like, I'm out of here. Fraggle's like, me too. I gotta take the dogs out soon. As well. I have 2 more bobbins. I really thought you were talking about age. Earlier, that's hilarious. I forgot that it said the bobbin thing. Alright, so I did that. I'll do 2 blacks, finish it up. Talks with Dutchie while bobbing it up. Feeling like a loner for a good portion of my life, and some days still do, you know? I'm okay with that. I don't even like the word loner anymore. I need like a better word. But I've learned so much about myself not having to worry about like the opinions of others, or not feeling good enough, or is this going to be enough? Will anyone approve XYZ? When you really like yourself and you like the person that you're becoming, because even if you look back 5 years, 10 years further you go back, the crazier it gets. We all had an experience that have changed us or made us better. And it's up to us. Oh no. Where we go with that. Because personally, I've learned that I don't like repeating things. Unless it's something I enjoy. But like lessons that are annoying to have to repeat them again because I didn't learn it right the first time. I enjoy cracking the code to life and appreciating those experiences for what they are. And sometimes they're a headache, you know? But it may be something that's annoying for that time, and then you crack the code, you move on. And if it appears again, you crack the code even faster, and now you're becoming like more brilliant at dealing with whatever's being thrown at you. Because everything is definitely an energy too. The way we react to things is the way that things are also thrown to us. I'm not saying that any of us are deserving of bad things. That is not true. We do learn more from the bad than the good at times. A lot of the times in this world we live in, which is very, very sad. They're so programmed to like make money and die, and it's so awful. It's like no wonder why no one really knows who they are, because there's like so much going on that doesn't make room for that. I'm gonna finish these 2 bobbins. Woo! Baby. And then I'm going to thread these as well. Then I'm gonna take the pups out, grab some lunch. I appreciate all my peeps coming in tonight. Fraggle and Joe. Brody, Tom is here too. There's some of my peeps out there. Shout out to y'all that didn't show up too, because you are still valued. But I definitely appreciate the good conversations. The ideas of bouncing back and forth to one another. So it feels good when you can like relate to people and know that we have a lot of similar life experiences that make us who we are. I never believe in coincidences, so I think that we were all like guided together for a reason. To learn from one another and to value a good human structure out there somewhere. Whether that be YouTube for people, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it may be. To allow people to find like common ground that allows them to be exactly who they want to be in this world. and not putting on like a facade. Just being naturally you, because that's all we can really do, you know? It is cool, like, spooling them myself, because you have to, like, draw, like, kind of draw with the thread how it spools. Like, as for the bobbin tool right here, the bobbin tool does itself, like, where it goes up and down, so it goes even. Wow, all 50 bobbins are filled. Well, actually, is it 50? Where's my other one? I had what did I use it? I had one left over for example. No, did I use it? Oh no, I didn't. I put it away. So 49 is filled. Woo! No one gives enough, but it's fine. This is exciting for me. You just, when you run out, you just go. You don't have to stop your project, go and do the bobbin and that crazy stuff. It's great. And then I need to prep for my little pieces over here. I don't know eventually if I'll keep this or not. But as mentioned, I have to put it on the smaller ones so it fits the machine, because this one does not fit at all. There were so many different colors, but I definitely know black and white is primarily, I think they get you because they want you to get all the colors under the sun, right? Which is fun, but I can see it being very much like markers for me. Having all these colors, and then you probably don't use a lot of them. Markers I definitely use a lot of, or used to use tons and tons and tons of markers. But sometimes you don't need all of these, like, for instance, all these threads. Like, it's nice to have if you're doing different fabric, like, projects and stuff. I can see having different colors can be nice, because there is one-off coloring fabrics and etc. But I can see where it becomes crazy. I actually found this weekend one of my favorite artists' book out there, and I have multiple coloring books by him. I have two others, so let's not get out of control. But he has a lot. I haven't bought them in years, so he probably has way more now. But when I got them, he had only had a couple out at that point, so I was like stocking up on them. But this had some pictures from my other one in it. Like, I started this one on my live like a year ago. It's obviously not colored in, it's in the other book. But I think he did some of his maybe favorite ones. It says reflections on front, which is like a sign for me, but for him, maybe the artist's reflections of his past artworks. So it has like a mix of colorings. I cannot wait to do this one. This one looks so cool. But I was super excited to see it. It was like super duper cheap. I didn't pay full price for it. Brand new. Super, super duper exciting. But this one, all the other ones, I don't know if he stopped because I haven't bought it in a couple years now. But the other ones used to have like little like scavenger hunts in the back, and you would find the pieces throughout the book. Like, for instance, that dog one. This one's like, oh my gosh. I'm not a big snake person, but this one's definitely one of my favorites. But just like, where's that? This one's cool too. It's like, looks like Converse. Shout out to Kirby. I was trying to find a piece that I was talking about. He had a colored picture, and I did this in the other book. It's like one of my favorite ones that I did, actually. I didn't do this one. I did different colors. This is just like a printed copy in the book. But it brought me back because I was like, oh yeah, I did do that one. It took me a while to blend everything and to finish it. But when I worked stationary at a desk all the time, I was able to color more and stay put. There was, oh look, Joe. It's like a kitty. Where was it? I saw it and then I flipped through. Is that a giraffe? Oh, it's like a goat. It's still cool. It's like a ram. I guess I missed it again. Oh, he has it in here again, so I could do it twice. That's cool, since I already did it in the other book. I think the other one, it was double-sided, and I did them both, or it was just one side, I don't remember. Oh, that's exciting. This little tree creature chick is cool. That starts to become really small for me, though. Like, I'm not really super into coloring that, because it'll take me, like, 50 years to do. Oh, she's cool. I have no idea where that other one was. But in the other books, or at least two of the other ones, here we go. Like the dog one again. They would have like little pieces of a scavenger hunt that you would find from the back of it, and you would like find the piece, I guess, circle it, whatever your heart desires for your book. But they would have little symbolic pieces that you would find. This one doesn't have that, which is a little sad. But I guess it's just like his reflections. Maybe he stopped doing it for the books. I have no idea. But I was super excited. Oh, I did this one too. It has like a little card. Yeah, I love this coloring book. Yeah, I need to go get some lunch too. Oh, there's the bull. That's exciting because when I got the first coloring book, I allowed someone to do the other side of the bowl. It was just, I won't do that anymore. I think I ended up ripping it out too. Sounds so messed up. But there's reasons for that. But I did one side too, and I hated it because as I was learning the first book, I didn't really like doing markers in it because it would bleed through the pages. But then I found these colored pencils that I was obsessed with. I still am. And I love using them for that coloring book. I think it's the one. Yeah, the last one that I did, and I did not finish it. Story of my life. When I sat at a desk for like 10 hours a day, I was able to finish things more, but it even took me a while. But I did the dog. So the dog, I have another one in the new book. So it's like a duplicate. But there's only one. There's not two like the reflection book has. I haven't finished it though. Oh, that's cool. There's like a mummy. An Egyptian. But I did the horse one. I'm trying to find the little guy though. I don't think he's in the other one. I think it's this one. Oh yeah, he was back to back with Tree Girl because I didn't think that there was two of the dude. It's like so hard to see. But that's cool that I can redo him. Oh, I wonder if there's Tree Girl. Tree Girl was like my favorite. I loved her so much. I don't know if... I wonder if Tree Girl's in here. I do like there's two shoes on both sides though. bit too. It's like symbolic. I had a rabbit out here named Marshmallow when I first got one of my pups. And I seen a rabbit out there this morning. They're like little marsh rabbits. I seen one out there this morning. It reminded me of him. And then I just saw that. Where is... Oh, they have the 2 horses again. Which I just saw that. And the 2 bulls. The bulls in the first book, I think, that I have. This is cool that I can do him twice. So maybe I'll do, like... I have no idea, but maybe I'll do, like... one side completely different than the other. Or make them slowly blend together, like a reflection, like looking at each other. With slight differences. I have no idea. Cross that bridge when I get there. Like, these are so cool. I love them. But they're really small and detailed. Like, I still would do it for sure. But anything smaller than that, it's not very exciting for me. Like, those little petals and stuff. The petals are almost pushing it. Like, those are, like, pushing it. You could have smaller markers to get in there, but... I don't know. I do like them a little bit bigger. This is definitely pushing it. Beautiful art, for sure. But super detailed, like, needing to get all up in there and get all the little crevices, you know? Like a flying rabbit. Deer? I don't really know. This one's cool too, but super small. Like, look at that. It's like a little tree man. She's cool too. Almost starts to get too small, but I think should be fun to do with her hair. The elephant. Okay, so I guess there's... Okay, so I'll have 2 more dogs that I can do. Oh, look at the skull one. I definitely stopped buying coloring books years ago because it became an obsession too. And when I stopped working stationery at the desk like all the time, I wasn't coloring in my coloring books, so I stopped buying them like that. But I got this one on sale, and he's like one of my favorite artists for sure. So I thought maybe it would bring me back to coloring a little bit. I considered maybe coloring today since I broke my needle to my sewing machine. After I'm done like threading these little, what is that, like a walking stick? I have no idea what that is. Anyways, this is one of my favorites, though. Hands down. Love this one so much. Not even just the coloring I did. I love the piece that he did. So good. Oh, there's Tree Guy again, too. And the Flying Little Rabbit. This one's cool, too. Gotta love my mushrooms and my gnomes. Gangster Gary outside. This is definitely a bigger coloring book than the other one. Oh, as I mentioned, here's all the answer. Like a little peacock feather. But you would find them throughout the book. It's like a little treasure hunt. They have tarot cards. But you would find it along the way. Stuff I did not finish. Towards the end of using this one, though, besides the one I tried to do last year and didn't finish, I haven't used this book in years. Sad. Coloring takes a lot of time. I don't think people understand that. Thanks. Yeah, I've colored some of them. Fraggle, I have another book too. I'm not gonna pull that one out. I've colored them. They would look really cool framed too, though. The one thing I don't like is the back to back. So the first book, once again, I had to learn like trial and error of markers and stuff, so it wouldn't bleed through the pages. So I feel like the first book isn't ruined, but it would have been better if I just did straight color pencils. What up, sucker? Please stop. The last thing we need is any more war. I won't even go down that rabbit hole, Pico. I just won't do it. We don't need no more problems. I'm on the boat of peace and love, which people are like, ha ha ha. But why? Why is there not peace and love? Why? It's like so hard for humans. It's so sad. I just don't get it. It's all because of like ego, proof that people know more than someone else. None of us really know anything. It's just making assumptions that we know what this life thing is, you know? So I believe in peace and love. Sucka. Alright, I'm gonna go walk the doggies, get some lunch for sure. Fraggle, I don't even know what you're eating. You could be having taco soup, but I'm like now, like, I need lunch for sure. I'm gonna make a smoothie. I've been on a smoothie kick. I'm going there and do that, live it up. Maybe I'll be back in a little while. Maybe I'll color some of Kirby. I do want to get into that because that's why I definitely got the book. And since I have to wait for Amazon to bring me needles, it's like a blessing, and it's a blessing to have Amazon, but they be trying it. They be trying it sometimes. So, but it is a blessing that I don't have to go to the store. I just don't know what time it's going to show up, you know. But I appreciate my peeps coming in today and saying hello and what up and chatting with me, vibing with me. Maybe I'll be back in a little while. But stay a good human, be a good human. Life will work out for you if you do that, you know. We can't control the waves of life, but we can control our reaction. I saw something the other day that was like, what you can control, what you can't control. And it was like little bubbles and stuff. And, you know, most of the stuff on the list that we can control is inside stuff. Like, we cannot control the outside of the world, you know? Can't control people. We can't control how people think and judge us or appreciate us, not appreciate us, X, Y, Z. But we can control our reactions. We can control our mood. We can control our energy. We can control, like, so much stuff that we forget that we are the driver of our life. So, do good things. Be a good human. I value my people because I know you are good humans. And maybe we'll be back. It's been real. I don't know if you're still out there, Pico, Joe, Tom, Rudy, Davey, all the peeps. Even him, he's like, can we go? He's like, it is time, Mom, it is time. Pancakes, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I have my waffle maker in there. Maybe I'll do, I've been trying to lay off the chocolate. Maybe I'll do some chocolate chip waffles. And like some eggs or something. Thanks, Fraggle. Thanks. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I love the little Belgian waffle maker too. Yeah, take care, Fraggle. Don't be so hard on yourself. Keep creating art. Be a good human. The use. And thanks for coming in here. I'll see you later, alligator. And check out Neighbors. You too, Pico. Check out the show Neighbors. Hilarious stuff. Talk to you later. He said see you later.